another PlayStation 5 jailbreak video. So Lightning Mods has blessed us with this Christmas gift here of a new release of etaHEN version 2.5b, which adds a lot of new features into etaHEN compared to the previous version. Some significant features added in this version. There are features, of course, that have been available in the previous test builds that have led up to this point, but now we have a full release, and this version should not expire at a specific date because it is a public release version. So this is now available, and what I'm going to do in this video is show you guys exactly how you can get this updated if you're using the YouTube jailbreak on the PS5, as well as also going over all of the new features that have been added here in this version that we're going to check out. So let's go ahead and get straight into it here. So first of all, if you're using the YouTube jailbreak and you want to update to this latest version, all you got to do is head over to the GitHub release from Lightning Mods and download the etaHEN 2.5b release version here. Download that bin file. Then from the Y2 jailbreak autoloader release, we also want to download the Y2 jailbreak update.zip file from here, from the latest version. And also, if you don't already have the items flow version 1.14, you're going to want to go ahead and download items flow here for PS5 from packagezone.com to go along with etaHEN. And also for making it easy to install it permanently to the hard drive, we're going to want to grab our PS5 Explorer application here from Lappy, which we can grab right here as well. So all the links, of course, will be in the video description. So the next step here is to simply install those over to our USB drive. So grab yourself a USB drive that is formatted in exFAT or FAT32 format, and then open up that USB. And of course, we want to copy the package files over to the root of the USB drive first of all. Then we're going to open up the Y2 jailbreak update file here. And all we want from this is the PS5 autoloader folder. So we're going to copy that over here to our computer, over to the root of the USB drive. We're going to go into that folder and copy the etaHEN 2.5b file inside. And we're going to right click and rename this file, copy the file name, open up the autoload.txt file. And with the autoload.txt file, we just want to replace the FTP server payload here with the etaHEN payload name. For some reason, I have a space in the file name, so I'll go ahead and remove that and save it. That means there must be a space in the file name here, so I'll just go ahead and get rid of that, and we should be good. So make sure the file name in the text file matches the actual file name of etaHEN. You can also now delete the FTP server payload that's already in there, and you should be good to go. So all we need to do is plug this into our PS5. Okay, so once we get onto the PS5, we're going to head to the media section and run our Y2 jailbreak autoloader to run the YouTube jailbreak. Of course, I have a full guide showing how to set this up from scratch. I'll leave it linked in the video description, but you can see it's now loading the new version of etaHEN from the USB drive rather than the older version that's already pre-installed to the hard drive. Now, one of the changes you can see immediately when we set this up is we get this message in the top right hand corner now saying welcome to etaHEN. So it's using a different notification system to give you the notification that etaHEN is loaded, which I do think looks quite a bit nicer than the previous notifications all being on the left. So that is pretty nice. That's one immediate obvious change. So once we have that installed, we can then head over to our settings menu here, scroll down to our debug settings or etaHEN toolbox, and then go to the package installer. And here we can install both packages that we put on the USB drive. So items flow, the latest version, and also the PS5 Explorer application if you don't already have it installed. And that will get that all set. So last thing to do for the installation is to just get this etaHEN payload installed to the internal storage so that we don't need the USB drive plugged in whenever we want to load etaHEN in the future. It will just load the latest version from the hard drive instead, and we can use PS5 Explorer to achieve this. So we launch the PS5 Explorer application, we go into root access, we press left on the D-pad to switch to our USB drive. It might be right on the D-pad, but it's normally left on the D-pad for USB 0. Find the PS5 autoloader folder, hover over it, press triangle, and then send to /data, and select that option. And now if we head back and look in the data folder, we can see we have our PS5 autoloader folder here that has the autoload text file that is designed to load the latest version, and that will just load from the hard drive now instead of having to load it from the USB drive. So that's essentially what you can do there. to get everything set up and installed. So now we can check out what new features have been added in this release. Okay, so to begin with, in the cheats section, we now have the option to change the cheat repo source. So by default, it uses etaHEN PS5 cheats repo, but you can change this to the etaHEN PS4 cheats repo and then download and update the cheats, and that will download the latest etaHEN cheats for your PS4 games, as well as having the PS5 cheat option with etaHEN cheats, which also includes cheats for PS5 games. But if you want all of the extra cheats that you get with etaHEN for the PS4, for your PS4 games, you can now switch the repo over to the etaHEN repo instead and get those cheats installed and working on the PS5. So that's a nice feature that's been added there. Beyond that, if we go into our settings page, we have a manual fan speed threshold option. So you can adjust the threshold, the temperature threshold, I believe this is, of the console. So if you set a higher temperature threshold, which means the console will try to keep the temperature within that threshold that you set. So that means if you set a higher threshold, then the fans will not kick up as high. And if you set a lower threshold, it will kick up the fans higher to try and keep the temperature within that range. That is the general idea there. So you can set a custom fan speed threshold by using that. And you can enable that there by enabling the fan speed threshold option. Next, we have the Kstuff menu. So the Kstuff menu now has the option to pause Kstuff on game launch. So you can enable this. And you can also set a custom Kstuff pause delay, so that you can say how many seconds after you launch a game or an application do you want it to automatically pause Kstuff, because you want to give it enough time for the game to properly launch before you pause Kstuff, because Kstuff is needed to launch the game. And then you can also unpause Kstuff on game close. So when you close a game, it automatically unpauses Kstuff, so that you will not run into the issue when you try to launch another game and still have Kstuff paused where the game will fail to launch. This will automatically re-enable Kstuff whenever you close your application, which is another handy option that's been added there. So to see that in action, if we go ahead and load up items flow, the latest version that we just installed, I can then load one of my PS5 game dumps like Returnal here, and we'll launch that game. Now we just wait a few seconds, and we should see that it will automatically start pausing Kstuff within 10 seconds. 10 seconds after the game is launched, so there we go, Kstuff has been successfully paused, and that's us up and running here with the game with Kstuff automatically paused for us, so that by the time we actually get into the game itself, Kstuff is successfully paused for us here. And yep, there we go, I'm back into the game and Kstuff is now paused. And what I can do as soon as I close the game, you will see it automatically unpauses Kstuff immediately as soon as the game is closed. So that's a new feature that's added in this version, definitely a welcome change. The only thing is that it would be nice if we had the ability to whitelist certain applications so it doesn't automatically pause Kstuff. But in the meantime, what you can do if you end up running a homebrew application or something that it does automatically pause Kstuff for, I think item slow is automatically whitelisted. I could be wrong. I did kind of, launch the game within item slow kind of quickly. But if it's not, then when you run other homebrew applications and you don't want Kstuff to be paused, you can just add a controller shortcut inside the etaHEN toolbox. Inside controller shortcuts, you can set a toggle shortcut for Kstuff. I use single tap of share button, so I can just press the share button to pause and unpause whenever I want. So if it does automatically pause Kstuff on an application that you don't want it to pause Kstuff for, you can just use your controller shortcut to re-enable it again. Now, there's also been some improvements made to the WebMan Games section as well. In the debug settings, you've got your PS5 WebMan Games option, where you can launch your games directly from within here. So this has been improved in several ways, including the ability to now detect games that are in the M.2 location. So if you have like an M.2 NVMe drive installed internally in the console and you've got game dumps stored there, it should be able to properly detect them and load them from there now. And, other issues where the game wasn't showing up or being detected sometimes, that should hopefully be fixed now as well. So there's been a few improvements made to this section here if you like to launch your games from the WebMan Games section directly from within etaHEN without having to go through items flow to launch your games. So if we head over to a game and if we press the options button, we have some new options added here, like the debug delete options. If we select this, this allows us to delete just the patch for the installed application for that specific game, or just deleting the additional content or temporary data and download data. So you can specify what part of the game you actually want to delete instead of just deleting everything. And you can also delete users' all save data. So all the save data for your user account or for all users, you can do that as well. So that's all built in there. Plus, we also have the dump game/app. I believe this requires the game to be launched first. So if we go ahead and launch Resident Evil 4 Remake here, just to get this going, and we'll get this game loaded. There we go. So once the game is actually loaded, we can back out of the game, head back to the home page. And while the game is still running in the background, we can press the options button. So we just select the option to dump the game or app. And there you go. You can see it automatically starts dumping. It's using version 1.08 of etaHEN's app dumper, which can dump PS4 and PS5 games. So you can dump them to your USB drive, which is what it does automatically there. It's dumping the game to my USB drive that's plugged in. And then once it's completed, you essentially have a proper game dump that you can then turn into a fake package if it's a PS4 game that you dumped, or turn it into a playable game backup, which is basically already a playable game backup if it's a PS5 game you're dumping. So you can pretty much just add it in items flow and be able to launch it as a game backup. So pretty awesome options that have been added there. Makes it a lot easier to dump your games and turn them into working game backups directly within items flow without having to use an external payload. So an awesome feature that's been added there from etaHEN that is now included by Lightning Mods in etaHEN. Now, one final option that's been added is an experimental FPS counter for PS4 games specifically. So if we go back into our etaHEN toolbox here, scroll down to the settings, go to the overlay menu, the game overlay menu, you can see we have experimental PS4 FPS section, toggles the FPS section from the game overlay, but it's not for regular use yet. So obviously there are still some bugs or issues with this particular feature, but it's something that you can, I guess, play around with. It may work on some PS4 games. So you just enable this option. You can change the overlay position again to different parts of the screen, but basically you just enable that. So FPS counter is now loaded. So it takes a few seconds there for that to actually be initialized. And then we can go ahead and try and maybe run one of our PS4 fake packages and see if we get an accurate FPS readout. And yep, there we go. You can see we have the FPS being shown there in game. So 59.93 or 94, basically 60 FPS. So, you know, double NTSC. So that's what we've got going on there as well on the PS5. So we've got a nice FPS counter that is now being displayed, but supposedly it is for PS4 games at the moment. So very nice options that have been added there into etaHEN. So big shout out for Lightning Mods for this Christmas release. Hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Hope you guys all have a great Christmas and a happy new year. And I'll hopefully see you guys in the